Trigger warning. Topics of abuse and relationship trauma are mentioned, although not thoroughly explored within this episode. However, since they're mentioned, I figured to put a trigger warning into beginning. If those things would trigger you, any type of PTSD, I advise now to click off, because this is a pretty deep episode talking a lot about mental health for a good chunk of it. You have been warned. If you proceed so forth, that is your wish.
What's up, guys? Aces Beam here, and welcome back to the fourth episode of the BeamCast, my podcast. And today, we have a very, very special guest. If you've been around for a while, you know who this man is. We got the man, the myth, the legend, John. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right.
You doing all right?
I wouldn't build up the hype that much with me, but you know, I'm here.
This is my podcast. No, but I still got people who, been watching for like a while. Like, do you remember the one dude who would randomly comment that he just watches my videos and he's been subscribed since like the beginning. His name was KP Rain, right?
I remember, yeah.
He changed his name to Lord Cthulhu. He still comments every now and then. Like, he still watches. So he'll know, like, who you are. So I'm like, for the old viewers specifically who know who you are, this is big, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, especially with my absence, it's kind of big, too.
We'll get into.
Yeah, But, yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Of course, of course.
Getting it back into the swing of things after the channel rebrand and everything. So.
Of course, which happened months ago, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, no, when I started the podcast, literally one of the first things in my mind was, I gotta get John as a guest. That's clickbait. No.
I will say, I was down for it, and I'm really happy to be doing it. It is kind of nerve-wracking, though.
It's been a while since you've done content like this, especially with another person. No, this is your first time doing some sort of content with another person. Like,
it's been what, 3.5 years?
3.5, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, no,
right.
For sure.
I mean, the other time you did content with someone was with me on some Fortnite video that absolutely failed, but that wasn't even with me. You just sent me a video clip to put in my video.
I think that was just for your channel, though.
That was purely for my channel. We haven't had
the last content we made was on my channel. I think it was the Primitive Tech video.
We both recorded our own versions of that. Remember?
Yeah.
Here, I can scroll through for a little while and find it.
For a little while, yep.
A little while. Unlike him, I kept going. See, I didn't have you on any collabs in like 2020, which was kind of crazy. It was this video at John's house during the weekend. That was the last time we collabed 3 years ago.
Yeah. Holy
fuck. Wow.
Well, I'm glad to be back now.
Long time coming. But speaking of, YouTube history and our things, the first topic of the 4 bulletin points that we have, they know I write down talking points, is our history on YouTube. When we got into YouTube, how we were doing YouTube for a bit, and then we met each other and how that was going, and then, eventually that'll lead into the other topics.
Right.
We'll start. I know you started videos before I did on my current channel, but I think I might have started videos before you did, technically in regular timeline.
Probably.
because of the Diamond Miner 712 channel.
So I had
In fact, when was that channel made?
I had a whole era. While he's looking this up, I will go into depth here. I had a whole era before Angel was. I even met Angel, actually.
Yeah.
Me and an old friend, Isaiah, we started up our channels and would collab basically daily.
Basically how me and him was at one point.
And I remember he kind of fell out of the swing of it. He didn't want to make videos anymore.
And I was the replacement.
And he was the replacement. And I don't want to brag, but I can call myself the reason why this man is where he is at.
Oh
today.
no, definitely.
I got his start.
You
going.
you can ask almost anybody when I talk, like when I'm like talking about you, right? In terms of like my history of why I'm done stuff. I'm like, I owe the fact that I do YouTube to this man. I owe the fact that I do music to this man. You know what I mean? Wyatt might have shout out Wyatt, by the way. Wyatt might have played more of a part in me taking music seriously, but my first ever song technically was a diss track on him. We don't talk about that. Was a diss track on this man John, right? And it was just some fun bullshit, and that's so I basically owe everything that I've done and everywhere that I got to you. You know what I mean? And then my history. As we see, this channel was made on January 10th, 2015, right? Compared to this account being made later that same year, a couple months later.
You didn't have too many videos out on your old channel before you made the new one.
I had I had like 9, but here's the thing. So I have 5 videos on the Dynamite 712 channel. You guys can still find this too. I was in 4th grade. I was 9 years old. 9 years old. Oh my god. That bro. I'm 18 now. What the fuck?
Yeah, no,
but so I posted 5 videos on this channel all within like a month, right? I misspelled a lot of shit. First view special.
First view special.
And I was celebrating my first subscriber. I thought they were the same thing. But so I did this because I wanted to be a Minecraft YouTuber, but then I stalled because of personal issues within the house, specifically between my mom and dad, right? And that caused me not to really upload because I was using my mom's tablet to record videos. It wasn't my own shit. So I couldn't record any videos, and fast forward, maybe a couple years, right? I mean, I'm on YouTube here and there on like videos of my like you remember Platinum, right?
Yeah.
Platinum's old channels like Dark Ride Gamer or stuff, like I'll appear on there maybe once or twice, right, throughout those couple years. But I appeared on your channel a couple times before too as Diamond Miner 712, and I was always talking about getting back into YouTube, right? But I never had done it. But what I would do a lot in my free time was record YouTube videos on my camera, right, and then delete them afterwards. Why? Because it was fun. I did it all the time, right? And I was doing it on a LG phone. They don't even make phones no more.
Yeah, no, I remember. My first phone was an LG, actually.
But yeah, on an LG phone, I was recording a video, right, with my current account. This was late 2017. That's why when, even though my account's been as old as since 2015, right, I consider myself a YouTuber since 2018. Technically late 2017, and by late 2017 that's like December 28th, what I mean, right? So real late 2017, right? So but I had recorded a video. It was my Pokemon gym because that was the trend in PokeTubers, because I wanted to be a PokeTuber. And hopefully the dogs don't get too loud, but I saw on the camera app a little YouTube icon, and I was like, what's this? And I pressed it, and I could upload the video, and I was like, oh my god, I can do it now. I can be a YouTuber now, right? And I uploaded it. Fast forward a couple days on New Year's, you're doing your New Year's Eve stream, and I joined, and it was Legendary Trainer Angel, very jank setup, right? And you're like, oh, you're doing YouTube now? I'm like, yeah, and I explained everything to you, and you're like, yo, that's sweet. And that's when I got into sub count streams,
Those were the good old days.
The last time I did a sub count stream was 2020.
Yeah.
When those used to get views. For what?
I don't think they ever did, really, either.
No, they did. Well, ours didn't, but like as a content genre, they did, specifically because T-Series and PewDiePie.
Right.
But yeah, no, and we made partnership terms and everything, right? Because we was grinding, and I hit 100 subscribers in like a little over a year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it was awesome. Then, and we had partnership terms. We were collabing all the damn time. We had the Primitive Tech series that changed it to Leap into Nature.
That was a huge series for the both of us,
too.
too.
It was huge, even though we never finished it and should have been way more consistent than we was.
Oh, yeah.
But
if we were, we could have.
If we were, that would have been a massive series. Because I think that's proven by your Project Hideaway. Yeah. That was super popular, right? At least at the school, right? It was very, very popular, right? Even you being a less popular individual at the school, at least from what I knew, right? Not trying to throw you under the bus, but still, even people who,
fine.
even people who don't really care for you liked the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
You had something.
A lot of people who I never even thought knew I existed.
It was like, hey, this is cool,
hey,
right?
Sharing this around, so.
But yeah, no. And the reason I bring up Project Hideaway is because Project Hideaway is basically what Leap into Nature turned into, because you had to drop me from it, because not only was I going through my own personal stuff and was really insanely busy back then with sports and everything, right? But you just genuinely wanted to do something like that. So I think if we were way more consistent, we're way less busy, and could have done it, I think we would have had some, especially since it's supposed to culminate in a 24-hour sleep challenge. Right. If you guys don't know what the Leap into Nature series was, it was this. So the original location was this place near your house, right? And we would go down. We went down there, and we were gonna build like a little makeshift hut. It was a really cool idea, and we had some progress. We got 2 Y branches and everything. It was awesome. It's when I learned to use a sawzall the first time.
We did have a sawzall down there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And but then we changed locations to this one place where we would ride your bikes to. And I forgot his name. May he rest in peace.
It was an old friend of mine. His name, Roger. He was I had met him one day hanging out with another friend of mine, and he had his house for sale, and I ended up calling the number on the sign, and I talked to him, and I'm like, what, 13? And I'm just talking. I was like 13, or I was young.
You were young, but there's no way you were that young. I was just talking
to him about, buying his house. Like, I was curious about what he wanted. It was on the river and everything. And we ended up becoming really good friends. And, I'd go out there and I'd help him with yard work and stuff, and he would, help me fix my bike and everything, and it gathered in this relationship where when that time came up where I was making YouTube videos and stuff like that, he had a bunch of property that he was willing to let us use.
Yeah.
For, recording
Primitive Tech series. Even the original Cedar Point. If you don't know everyone knows what Cedar Point is, right, in terms of the amusement park. But if you remember the original Roger told me this story at least, right? In his backyard, there was a specific place that natives used to call Cedar Point, right? And he shared that with us, and that's on my Instagram highlights from years ago. I even used it as a cover art in a freestyle I did, later. But yeah, no, you told me not too long ago that he had passed away. He was a very old man
from him in a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's a very old man, so it's reasonable to assume he had passed away. If not, I hope you're doing good out there. If he is, resting in peace, then, may he rest in peace. He was a good man. I was a little fool back then. I remember one of the episodes I disappeared and tried to play Jason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I remember that.
I wish I could say sorry to him for that, because I've matured so much since then. You know what I mean? But he was genuinely a great dude. That's when we roasted hot dogs over a fire over there. He was helping us build the spot. He was just a really cool man.
In part of YouTube memory, that was more just childhood memories, honestly.
Honestly, bro, that's why I'll never give up YouTube, because it's been such a big dream of mine, and I've been doing it for so long,
Right.
It'll be 5 years as of this year, actually.
Wow.
I've been doing YouTube for 5 years, basically nonstop as of this year. I've taken my breaks, of course, multiple week breaks, maybe multiple month breaks here and there.
Nothing
right?
like me, of course.
Nothing like you, but you know, for the most part, I've been very consistent, you know, and throwing music on top of that, you know what I mean, for 4 years for music, you know what I mean. So yeah, it's very, you know, interesting. And then obviously, you know, Leap into Nature became Project Hideaway, which you never did the second season for. You know, we were collabing all the time, and I think the first thing that threw a wrench into me and you, at least it did for me for that year, was Kappa.
Yeah, no, it was
That-
definitely a stressful time. I remember.
It was a super stressful time at YouTube because we remember as small creators, we were like, we don't make no damn money to pay a $42,000 fine, you know?
Right.
And YouTube was being so vague on what's for kids and what's not for kids. And I was on the position, well, okay, YouTube's saying your target audience isn't for kids, then, you know, guess what? My content's not for kids. I don't care if it's kid friendly or not. It's not for kids. Screw you. You know what I mean? It was a very stressful time and not only was like personal stuff getting to me at the time, but that is one thing that did make me like really depressed because it had demotivated me to do YouTube, and that's when I got into music heavily. Like, you know, I was doing music seriously already, but like, you know, I put out one project in 2019, right? I put out like 5 in 2020. You know what I mean? Right? And have consistently put out around 5 every year since, right? Yeah, no, I think Kappa threw a big wrench into that because our last collab, right? You know, the video right after that, that's me ranting about Kappa.
Yeah.
Right? And it was such a big thing, and it really demotivated me. I know it got to you at some, you know, at least a bit. You had way more personal stuff going on that you worried about more.
Especially so around that time, man. Wow, there was. Because
High
I remember
school,
the night
COVID.
that we had. I think it was with Wyatt too.
Yeah, it was with
We were
Wyatt at
doing
your house. A
collab,
podcast.
Podcast.
It's on Spotify still.
Yeah, I believe it.
I can find it.
But I had a lot of personal stuff going on around that time. You know, I was caught up in a relationship, and it wasn't the greatest.
See, told you.
Damn.
November 2019.
Yep. So that was about 20. That's actually right on par. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was caught up in a relationship that wasn't really the best.
Yeah.
And that honestly, took me out. One of my last videos was. I ended up editing it.
It never came
It
out.
sat in my gallery for a while, and I just never edited it. But I ended up editing it and releasing it as unlisted for only a few people close to me.
Yeah.
But stuff like that just takes a toll on you, you know? And
Yeah, of
honestly,
course.
I'm still not doing all that
And-
great. But
And like, unlike you, no offense to you, but unlike you, I found like a healthy outlet to deal with that, which was music.
no, I agree.
Yeah.
You know?
You kind of completely decided to just disconnect yourself from everything. You know?
did. I
Like me,
it's not
like
healthy.
it's not. But like for context, me and him have stayed good friends. But like from 2020 to now, this is the most me and him have talked. Like in the last couple months,
I think I came over to your house maybe once or twice.
a couple times, and we talked a couple times over the last like 3 years. But you were just so disconnected in a completely different reality. You know what I mean, right? And then like there was a time where you're working like 3 different jobs, and you know what I mean, right? So you were just busy, like you know.
No. None of it was good for the psyche either, because like I remember that, and even working that much and trying, and the society expects success out of especially young people, and it's when you're not really getting anywhere, trying your best, it really does hurt too.
Yeah.
So, mental health is one of those things where
it's a big thing.
it is.
You always reach for help.
A lot of people out there struggle, and I'm not gonna say that I'm better, but I'm starting to try a little bit more. So.
Partially because I came back into his life.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. This man dragged me out of my hole.
one day,
What was it? Like a few weeks ago.
a couple weeks ago.
I'm having a bad day. I get up. I'm having a shit day. You know, what am I doing today? I don't know. I had lost my job a few months back, so that really didn't help either. So I get up and, nothing's planned for the day. And
You was just going to sit there and just chill, play Minecraft or whatever.
I got a knock on the door, and Angel.
It's me.
Just out of nowhere. He just rode his bike over. And honestly, at first I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, because
The first thing you said was
if there's one thing
the first
I'm good
thing
at,
you
it's
had
being
said.
alone.
The first thing you said was you were the last person I expect to come.
Yes.
That was the very first thing you said to me.
Honestly, and he was like, but every time I'm around this man, it gives me flashbacks of
the good times.
the good times where we would have
2018
fun as kids making content.
2018.
And pushing,
listen, a lot of people hate on the years 2018 and 2019, bro. 2018 to late 2019, the best time of my life. 100%. And that's when I was making a lot of content with you. That was when I was, we were still young and naive. You know what I mean? They really do say ignorance is bliss. You can see that now.
Yeah, if only.
But and I will say, as like a little thing, you're free to open up about whatever. Obviously, keep in mind YouTube guidelines, of course. You know what I mean? But you're free to open up about whatever if you so wish to share. If you don't want to share, you don't have to. Right? Yeah. I just want to make sure you know that so you don't feel forced to overshare. But yeah, no, Kappa took a big wrench into me. It took a small wrench into you. Obviously, we had our own personal problems because, at that time, I wasn't bullied like I was in elementary, right? And I wouldn't say I was bullied, right? But I did have some, friends that, I even ran into one of them at Cass County Fair a couple days ago, right? They're good people, don't get me wrong. I was known as the guy who couldn't pull nobody in school, right? Relationship bullshit, right? And every time I'm just talking to a girl, even if it's just to be friends, even if it was my friend's exes, you know what I mean, right? Which I'm not going to go date, you know what I mean? Why would I do that? You broke my homie's heart. Why would I want you now? You know what I mean? Right? So, but, even if I'm talking to him just as a friend, right? They make these remarks like, oh, I see you, Angel, da-da-da-da-da. And it would get annoying. And eventually I started to reflect. I'm like, I haven't had a serious relationship. Nobody does fucking like me. You know what I mean? Right? At least in that way. And one of my big things, growing up was, especially seeing how dysfunctional my parents be. I love you, Mom and Dad. Seeing how dysfunctional they be, that was a homie Wyatt. I've always wanted, part of my dream was always to have a stable family with somebody, right? I've never been the type to date because, some lust or whatever, right? It's always, I see a future with you. You know what I mean, right? That's how I've always approached it, right? And at that point, it was really starting to get to me, and then COVID didn't help because now we're all isolated, right?
That was kind of huge for me. I understand what you mean by seeing a future with somebody, and for the first time in my life, the person that I was starting to be with, I felt that,
Yeah.
I've always struggled with the concept of future, looking ahead, getting older. Yeah. People ask, what are you going to do when you're older?
Yeah,
what do you want in life
I can't
when you're
blame
30
you.
or 40?
And I can't blame you for thinking that's scary because then you start to set super lofty expectations for the next 5-10 years, and then you get so scared about not reaching them, and then eventually you start thinking about, man, I have this one chance from what we know. You know what I mean? To do what I want and do what I need. You know what I mean? So it frightens me sometimes, but I've come to the mindset of I would rather just be blind. I have my goals to it, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather be blind to stressful stuff at the moment, right? Unless I absolutely need to, address it. and just enjoy what I truly want to do, because if I enjoy what I truly want to do, then I'll get somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry that I cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine.
But yeah, no. So that was starting to get to me, you know, like, you know, basically peer pressure of like a relationship and whatnot, and my own like peer pressure. Especially COVID didn't help because we were more isolated. Because I went from talking to a lot of people at school to, you know, talking to a handful of people, right? Which now I'm a lot more comfortable with. I went from an ambivert that was more extroverted to an ambivert that's more introverted now. I'm a lot more to myself now, right? Unless it's in my music, and even then I'll not talk about certain things,
Right.
just because I'm, you know, for various reasons. But you know, like, so that was, you know, and that just like really took me out of the YouTube mental space. But you know, considering I always grew up with, you know, a dysfunctional household and would always get really upset and had a whole thing with my emotions. My whole escape was always go do something I enjoy, go do something I enjoy, go play video games, go play with Legos, go play with Beyblades, da 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 da. So I would stay on the YouTube grind, you know, but I did fall back from it, especially in 2020, because, you know, while it took me 1 year to get 100, it took me almost 2 years to get 200, right? And the reason I dipped back was, you know, breakups during that year. I had 3 relationships in 2020. You know, Kappa again, COVID, all these things, you know, and I would still go there for like a mental escape, but I found it easier to express myself in music, you know. So that's why I've put out a shit ton of music, because that became more of my emotional safe space, while YouTube became more of something I enjoy, you know.
Right.
Um,
I know. A lot. COVID hit me pretty hard, but at that time I still had, you know, the relationship I was in. I was in it for almost 2 years, so it, you know, that connection, it takes a lot. And like I said before, it was the best word I can describe, honestly, was tragic. I don't really use abusive anymore. It was more of tragic, but when everything kind of came to its peak and we split apart in early summer of 2021, I kind of, there was a crash, you know.
you fell
Where-
off the deep end.
Where
bro.
there was hope at one point, and there was motivation in there to keep doing, and not only with just YouTube, but just life in general. It fell off. And honestly, I understand, you know, the ideology of dysfunctional family. Hell, I've been through a lot as a
Yeah,
kid.
I don't even know half of it.
Say, my parents were never together. We had my sister's father was a domestic abuser, and we ended up homeless for a little while. So,
Yeah.
you know, we've never had money. We've never. But that's all stuff that, you know, you move past it and it can make you stronger. But when other stuff brings you down, it just bubbles back to the surface. And
yeah, it's easier for me to. They say a lot of people be grateful for the pain they go through, because they're like, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for it. And I know for me it was particularly challenging to look at it through that lens, because not necessarily in a narcissistic way, but I've always told I had a heart of gold. I was always really kind, really nice to everybody. So to me, I'm just like, I don't deserve any of this, you know, right? And that's what made it hurt a lot, especially, you know, my second most recent breakup,
yeah,
technically, which you know all about. Almost everyone knows all about it if you pay attention to my music. Just privately, other people know more details to it. But you know, and you know, I've always took stuff like that like really hard, you know. So I always looked at it better through the lens of, you know, of music. My friend Platinum put it a really funny way, right? While I was making my wall paintings album, right? You know, my friend said, "Bro, you're just an emo Goku. Every time you get your heart broke, your music just levels up. You know what I mean? Right? You get better." So I try to look at it through the lens of music as if I went through this pain, I'm getting better at music because of this pain, which works as the same way as I went through this pain, I'm becoming a better person because of it. But yeah, 2020 I think really derailed a lot of people, really changed a lot, and not to mention it was so politicized that year too. Politics just before that, you obviously heard little rumblings here or there, especially in 2016. But like in 2016, even then, it wasn't in your face like it was in 2020. It was just in your face.
Just exploded, and honestly, they've never been the same since.
No, never.
So,
and I'm not about to get into politics too much.
We don't need to get into this, but
I will leave politics for solo episodes, and even then, I try to avoid them. But yeah, no, that just made it super depressing just because, you got stupid arguments being made and you're like, God, you know what I mean? But I think another big thing for me and you, we're finally transitioning into the second topic.
Yeah.
Is high school, our high school experiences. We can tell a story about our high school experiences here, but I think another big thing for me and you is, late 2019, that's when I started going to high school my freshman year, and that was your sophomore year.
2019.
2020.
Yes, that was my sophomore, because we made it halfway through that year, and then that's
COVID
when school
hit.
shut down.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, that, I know high school derailed you a lot because you was obviously doing a driver's program there too, and a bunch of fucking work. I know work took me out.
I was top of my class as an automotive tech student.
Yeah, you've
always
been savvy with cars too.
I actually, this is actually a later topic, but I do have plans for starting to make more videos surrounding that stuff. But actually, we're getting close to the third one. We've discussed a lot of our high school.
Well, not in depth as what I thought when I put that there. We've talked more about personal things, more at home things, right? Not necessarily high school things, but obviously a lot of the personal things do technically tie into high school to a certain degree.
Mine kind of just all flows,
Yeah, me it's a little bit all over the place, right? But high school, yeah. But high school, I remember one thing for you is workload would take you out and keep you super busy. Me, same thing. Especially because of one teacher. I don't care, Miss Thompson, you sucked as a teacher. All right, freedom of speech. You can't sue me. Fuck you.
No.
But no, she sucked because she'd give us 7 classes or whatever, right? 6 of those classes gave me 6 classes worth of work. Very fair, especially for freshman year. She would assign 6 classes worth of work for her one class. It was annoying. And to cap it all off, it's biology. It's not like something I'm gonna need. I'm like, we go to Niles schools. None of us are becoming scientists or doctors. Why do I need to know the inner workings of a cell? I don't.
So a lot of high school for me there's the whole personal side, and that's. I've already kind of gotten into that about as much as I really want to, but for the YouTube side, high school was actually really good for me.
You did grow a lot.
The outside influence, people around me in high school, I was known as the
YouTube kid.
And
you were known as the YouTuber, and then I was known as the YouTuber and rapper.
Looking back through Google Photos and everything around that time, you really see a difference. These days, I just have a lot of just random pictures, stuff that I'm working on or whatever. Back then, I had nothing but just piles and piles of different memes and Photoshops and clips and everything. Dude, I would probably make at least 10 images in a video a day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even for YouTube either. It was just for friends, I was enjoying the creative.
You were making
processes.
Videos in class.
I was just making content.
I remember. I'm pretty sure I remember. You told me you edited the entire COD mobile review video in school. I'm pretty sure.
I did that in English class.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, but high school really did keep me busy, right? Then, I transitioned to the W.A.I.T program, right? You transitioned to Cedar Lane and graduated.
Yeah.
Cedar Lane was a lot better for you than the regular high school was. Because I remember you shared your grades with me. You're like, bro, I got 120% in math. You know what I mean? But I went to W.A.I.T. I graduated this year. With honors, by the way. Yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna brag about it. But, high school, the freshman year, that was rough. I got a D on the report card for the first time. Partially because the transition, right, to everything being on paper and in person to on Google Classroom. Some of them didn't know really how to do it, so it really fucked me over.
No, that 2019-2020 school year, man, that was
and I feel bad.
terrible.
And I feel bad for all the graduates because they didn't get a ceremony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you had the next year, which I only went in. If you know the W.A.I.T program, it's an online school program, but they have like an in-building location, and you can go in person, to do schoolwork. I went in every Wednesday, right? That year, right? And that's, that's kind of when I learned I was more introverted because of COVID. Normally, I'm the guy who will talk to anybody. I like you saw me at like the middle school. I would go up to everyone and be like, "Hey, bro, look, this is this. I almost knew everybody, right? Partially because I was in football, I think, right?
Yeah.
But there I was literally known as the quiet kid at W.A.I.T. I was the quiet kid,
God.
just didn't have a backpack to boot, but
pump up that kid bop.
oh yeah, pumped up kid. No, but yeah, no. So the W.A.I.T program was cool. Then my second year that went by smoothly, but I made a mistake by getting with somebody that I shouldn't have. And that would culminate in my senior year early. Whole breakup happened at school. School handled it horribly. Yada yada yada.
It always sucks when the schools intervene with that stuff too. That's never.
You know why they intervened, and you can understand.
I know the whole story,
yeah, you know the whole story.
It's still.
Right?
Dumb.
It still sucks, especially when the things that are being said to you, and you don't know what's going on.
Right.
Because you think it's a completely different situation than what they're making it seem, right? So like I will say when I learned why the school did what they did, I could understand it and be more at peace with it. But I would still cuss out the teacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I hold no regrets to my reaction, But when that happened, that really took me out because that person was like really special to me. Then on top of that, my great uncle passes away like 2 months later, at a work accident. So that took me out for months. And for context, 5 credits, that's like a full year of school there, right? By the time I come back, I have like 2.5 months to walk if I want to walk on a graduation ceremony, right? And I had to get 4.5 credits. I had like a full year to do in like 2.5 months. Didn't do it, didn't get to walk, but I did it in 3.5 months when I had 4.5 months to do it, right? So I did it in 3.5 months, graduated. I have the option to walk next year, right? But I said, screw that, I don't want to, I just want to get on with my life,
Yeah.
Because my senior year mentally would probably mess me up the most outside of my senior year, of course, right? Even though I handled that breakup a lot better, like, the most, of the devastating breakup back in 2020, right? I cried, like, so many times, right? So many times. Especially for, like, that first, like, month, right? When it comes to this one, I cried maybe 3 times, right? But that's because I knew how to handle it, and I went to the music immediately. The next day, I was making music.
Hey, at least you're not like me, still crying 2.5 years later, so...
I mean, I guess. But yeah, no. So, high school, it was... A lot of people say, oh, you'll look back on your high school experience and you'll think it was a great time, right? My high school experience was taken away from me, though, is how I feel.
Yeah, because yours was your freshman year,
My freshman year is when COVID happened, and...
I had my freshman, half of my sophomore,
So
and
you
then
have
that's
more,
when things collapsed,
yeah,
but
you have more to reflect on than I do,
I know, it ruined it.
Oh,
Because
no, exactly.
my sophomore year was incredible. When they announced that school was shutting down, I was having the time of my life. That was when I was at my peak in the automotive program.
That was your
walking
peak?
into that class, and even though I was a second year at that point, I was walking into that class. The other kids would go to instruction for them. The teacher would hand me a set of keys with a customer complaint and say, "Go pull it in, figure out, fix it."
Yeah, like you were.
I
bad.
was so low.
You were.
Like I was
You
working
were
a
the.
career.
You were probably at your peak happiness in terms of personal life, not necessarily your peak in terms of YouTube. I think we can both agree on that. Right?
Honestly, I kind of was though. That late 2019, I was there.
Oh, well, okay, late 2019, sure.
Because remember, this all happened in January, February.
Yeah.
Is when it was really starting to,
Well, it shut down officially in March.
So, but after that, I put out a few more videos, and that was the end of it because of COVID, really.
Yeah.
After that, I went back for my junior year, and it was different.
You did horrible.
All of
Not
my
only...
friends at that point, most of my friends at that time, and discarding you,
Yeah, of course.
Most of my friends at that time were all upperclassmen. They were juniors, seniors. So, discounting the few, I think one graduated, and then all of the rest transferred. They all went to W.A.I.T program or alternative ed at Cedar Lane.
And yeah, I had transferred
and
too.
I was there at the high school alone.
Yeah,
I didn't have anybody.
You were getting into stuff you shouldn't have been. Not gonna specify, but
yeah, that being alone, and then this was also I was getting more involved in my relationship at the time,
and your work life too, because this is when we were working like 3 jobs, and you would
running
go.
My
You
own
you were going to the high school, but I remember one time you were like, "Bro, I haven't gone in like 3 months."
The second half of my junior year, I was absent. I think I had 148 days of unexcused absences.
Yeah.
Somehow I wasn't truant, but
which
after
is
that,
insane, by the way.
My relationship ended, and I went out. I got an actual job because my business fell apart. I got into Cedar Lane, and I worked through Cedar Lane, and there just wasn't. I still didn't have the connections that I did, like my freshman and sophomore year, with friends and everything. So, they honestly, if I had to attribute what was my big push those few years, 2018, 2019, it had to have been my friend group.
Yeah.
Because they really supported me with the YouTube and creating content. Half of my content was about them.
Yeah, and I will say especially me, because me and you were literally YouTube partners, basically, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with us was, 1, I was a grade lower, right? And then 2, I had transferred to W.A.I.T because my mom has Crohn's disease. And she wanted to be extra safe because, if she did get COVID at one point, but it didn't take her out, but she was obviously scared, you know what I mean? Right? As anybody would,
and you
right?
were also just so busy. Like
I was super busy at that point up until COVID, because when COVID hit, that's when I decided to stop playing sports. 1, because of COVID, and 2, because the coaching sucked, right?
Yeah.
But when I stopped being busy, right, that's when you started being busy.
Yep.
Right? And the problem was I no longer had a bike. I don't know how to drive. You were so busy. So I couldn't, go over to his house all the time. 1, because of COVID restrictions. And then 2, we had no way of doing that, right? And, we're just both lazy pieces of shit not trying to walk that distance, right?
Mood. I ain't walking across town, man. I look like a fucking Stay Puft Marshmallow man.
Literally, right? So that's when I popped up, right? And I explained, like, I was like, yo, I had this whole plan. I was going to learn to drive. I was going to kidnap you for a road trip. But I said, screw that. Don't even need the road trip. I'm going to just show up because I got a bike now.
I really needed kidnapped.
And I remember actually earlier this year you had came over, and we had thought of rebrands. And so if you don't know, John went from Joe Man to John Vlogs to John Larson to John Larson Vlogs, and then you were John Larson Vlogs for a while, even during your break, and then
earlier success.
Yeah, earlier this year in like February, he came over and we thought of multiple rebrand names. Actually deleted that Google Doc today with all those names on it. And we picked JonSync, and his name's been JonSync for most of this year, right? But I had also taken him out of my description and my feature channel list to make his comeback more grand. But after, he had gotten rejuvenated, you just went back down, right? Mentally.
I fell, man.
You slipped,
I was
right?
sort of there. I thought I was ready to try, and man, I just fell back down.
And then I came back, and then you expressed, you're like, every time you're around, it just feels better, and it makes me want to do YouTube,
Yeah, you give me the YouTube bug. Like, I swear. And this time, I finally put it to something, too.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the third topic.
So, yeah,
So, he put out his comeback video. It's called Midnight Gone's. I'll put it in the link of this description. I mean, his link is in the description, but I'll put that specific video first. It's a really good video. Many hours of work put into it. And the thing is, when I went over to his house that one time, he said, be on my ass. Be on my ass. So
Yes.
I would ask for progress updates here and there, and that kept you going.
So, with Midnight's Gone,
My mom might be home, I don't know. We'll worry about that later.
So it feels kind of weird because talking about my feelings is not something I like to do. And in the video format, it's a bit of something else too. But Midnight's Gone tells a story of how a lot of my nights have gone over the past few years. Deep down. It tells the story of how I can be shaken awake at night by a nightmare out of nowhere.
Car crashes and...
It just the most random, and they're so vivid. You feel them. And you wake up, and the
basically
depression's
lucid
hitting
dreaming.
You can't go back to sleep. And a lot of what I do to kind of cope is I drive. And so the video goes from you get up, and it shows it's 3 a.m, and it shows the sink running, like trying to, wash your face, wake up a little. You just woke up really rough. And there is a segment in there of it's red. The whole scenery from the bathroom to the water to the lighting. And it's supposed to display,
hell, basically.
the bad thoughts, just how dark things really are. And then there is a segment of driving. I know I implemented one clip in there of
driving over 100
miles an hour because at a lot of the time when I'm truly there, it's manic and driving gets pretty heavy. But in the video, I go to one of my more favorite spots in the past year.
Which is your YouTube banner.
Yeah, it's my YouTube banner. It's a parking garage in a town close to us. And
you can say it. It's a known town.
Yeah,
South Bend, Indiana.
Surprising I didn't get shot, but it's fine.
It's South Bend, Indiana. It's a very well-known town across the country because of college football.
Yeah. And there it kind of... I had the flashbacks over, it shows just how fluid thoughts move through your head.
Yeah.
And with the background music in it,
with overthinking being the main topic of the person discussing in that music. And
that part there was supposed to really just rile your feelings, where the first part was cryptic.
When I saw it,
supposed to rile your feelings.
Yeah, no, when I saw, because I woke up to it being out, because he had messaged me oh, what thumbnail, and he had put it out before I could even answer. Right? Yeah. Because I was knocked out, because he messaged me at 3 a.m, right?
When I actually get things done,
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was knocked out, and I woke up and I saw it and I watched it, and that part I was like, wow, this is beautiful, this is well done. Part of it for me is because my homie finally got back into what I not only something I know he enjoys and will bring him down or at least hopefully bring him down a better road, at least mentally, right? But it was like he's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I literally commented the legend, he's returned or something like that, right? It was just such a big moment. And of course you had your outro, which was I've been gone for a while, yada,
right.
yada, yada. Thank you for waiting after 10 plus hours of work.
Because that took, I think it took a week.
It was definitely over a week.
All of it was recorded at night. around 2 or 3 a.m. actually. The editing was done at night, you know. When I uploaded it, I think I uploaded it like 5 a.m.
And I'll even put in some little inside thing. He even discussed me like, okay, how should I, not necessarily how to do things because you had it kind of mapped out in your head, but like I remember the red lights things. You're like, okay, I need to do it this way. Then you found some red LED lights. You're like, never mind, I'll do it this way, right?
Yeah.
And then like I went over to your, and when I was at your house, I made you download CapCut because there was a specific video editor which is actually still on my thing, right? Because I don't know why not, but I transitioned from that to CapCut, and you were originally editing Midnight's Gone on Power Director, good old Power Director, because you wanted to make a really good thing, and that's what you knew how to use, right? You know, because if you don't know, me and John, we used fucking Power Director on the phone. For years.
All of our production was just on a
and
cell
we got
phone.
really good. And if you notice my old editing to now, right? My now editing is probably more professional, but it's way more simplistic, you know?
Right.
But and that's because I went to PC, but I made you get CapCut, and you ditched Power Director mid-editing to edit it completely on CapCut.
And one thing, I've always been afraid, because I've never used a PC editing platform before, so I just kind of went with it and taught myself, and next thing you know, I was staring at that video.
And you got it. Like, it's an easy editor to learn.
In one night, I had edited the entire beginning all the way up to the point where I was supposed to overlay flashbacks. And I remember going to bed that night, downloading all of the source video for, you know, the flashbacks. And I got up that next day, and I think I put it together that night, so...
Yeah. And I'm glad you learned something. So now you got a more better professional, way easier to use. I think easier to use an editor on PC than phone, right? And it's easy, and it's definitely beginner friendly. It's not like I gave you like the most complex editor out there.
Right.
I gave you a very beginner friendly that can do what you want it to do. And if you want more shit, like more effects, you can pay for a subscription, but you don't need that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's kind of where Power Director kind of failed, in my opinion, at least on the phone, because they had the watermark, which is annoying. You know?
They had it cheap, though. I always remember I was always able to afford it. I would buy the yearly passes, and, you know, man, I used to come up with... That was one thing I prided myself in, is I'd come up with the most creative ways, like...
To do something.
How I edited, like, certain aspects of it. It's not at all how anybody would ever, like, think to edit it, but it made it work. It was inventive, and that was one of my favorite parts, you know?
And then I even picked up on some of that stuff, too, right? I remember there'd be times where we'd edit projects so big on Power Director, we would have to export it as a video file and open another Power Director project to continue doing what we needed.
Yes.
Right?
I did that a lot, actually.
It's insane. But, yeah, no.
A lot of my old videos were videos inside of videos.
Yeah, Midnight's Gone, though, is a very powerful comeback video because it's not your standard, hey, I've been gone, which is effective, it's to the point, but you made something special that still portrays the point. You know?
And a lot of the idea is that Midnight's Gone tells one part of a lot bigger story, too.
Yeah. Which I know you expressed to me privately that you might continue on that story.
Yes, I don't know. It's a little ways out in the future, but I do want to tell more aspects of my story because it helps.
It helps, yeah.
So,
you know, and it's just, you know, and like I said, I'm just glad, you know, that you're back doing what you're doing, you know, because, you know, as I've expressed to you, you know, I've always, you know, stressed about, like, man, I hope he's okay, but he's so busy, you know, yada, yada. Like, I even shared to you a song that I made talking about your thing, which, again, will eventually come out. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you ever listened to it. I know you've looked at it because you're on the project on BandLab, right?
Right.
But, you know, it is about, you know, you, right? And how, like, me kind of expressing, like, man, you know, I'm upset, my homie's upset, you know? Especially to the point that you were at. But, you know, so it just, it makes me happy you're back doing what I know you love, and especially because, you know, you helped me get into literally everything that I've done. You know, like we said earlier, you
Right.
know. And of course, we got plans of content moving forward.
Yeah,
Look at
no.
the segues, bro.
I was actually just thinking about that. The segue is, you know, we do have plans. That is one thing right now that I know I've been struggling with since Midnight's gone is
Plans.
I have a few shorts out there. One of them has actually gotten decent success on it, but I have yet to make any actual full feature content.
Regular video.
So
Now, I know I've suggested to you privately to do a more regular comeback video afterwards, just to kind of discuss, but I think this kind of fills in that role, especially if you make your first Instagram post in a while, be like, hey, da-da-da-da, you know?
right.
You know, I think that can fill in that role. But, so, well, I as you guys know, probably, if you follow my other socials, link in the description, promo. It's promo time. You remember that?
It's promo time.
But, yeah, no. So, I have a Puerto Rico vlog from a trip last year. It'll be out in the next couple weeks, I promise. But, you know I said when it comes out, you might get like a kind of, not necessarily the exact template, but an idea of how to, you know, segment your vlogs, right?
Right.
But, you know, one thing I even told you earlier before we started recording, I was just like, make content out of anything.
Right, and actually, when I showed up today, he has given me an idea. I think I'm going to start recording a vlog tomorrow. So
Yeah, just, record vlogs of, you know, like you said, you do work with, like, cars and stuff, and one thing he's doing now is, pushing scrap, as he puts it.
Yeah, you know, it's the crackhead way of life, and I'm fine with it for right now.
But, yeah, no. So, he collects scrap and then sells it, right? So, you know, and I'm like, you can make vlogs off of that, you know? Because one thing with John, you put very high expectations on the videos.
Oh, hell yeah, I do.
Because one of your problems that also did make you quit is because you were always trying to improve the next video. And that's a good philosophy to have to a point, but you got it to be too much. You went from enjoying content and improving while enjoying it to being strictly only about improvement, right? And you know, I'm trying to keep that back. I'm like, bring your expectations down. You just got back. You know what I mean? Right? We don't need you falling back down again. I will come beat you up. You know what I mean? You know, but, you know, so, you know, I say just make content out of whatever, right? Like, I got a video that will probably be up tomorrow, probably before this, that, it's just me trying Feastable chocolate chip cookies. Why? Mr. Beast is a big name. Content.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Or me trying Prime. There's a video out there on my channel. Me trying Prime. That's Logan Paul and KSI's drink. Why did I do it? Content. Who cares?
So now, speaking of expectations, it's, you know, I hear those videos and, like, they're good videos.
They're good. They're
it is
simple.
Easy content for you to push out. However, in my mind, I won't make something like that.
Yeah, I get that. And that's why I'm trying to maintain that.
So one thing that I used to be the king of vlogs. My channel was built
Easy.
on vlogging.
Easy.
So
my
it should
channel
be
originally
easy to go
was.
back to.
It should be, but you also need that touch for it too, right?
Right.
You need to get that touch back. And, you know, obviously I got to try to help maintain your expectation of, like, this isn't going to be your best vlog. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to be anywhere close. You got back. Let's wait to worry about improvement. And even then, when we start worrying about improvement, that can be something, but we got to focus on enjoyment first. You can have two video ideas, right? One that is way better improvement-wise, right? But very low in enjoyment value for you watching, creating, all of it, right? Or you can have one that's massive in enjoyment value, watching, creating, all of it, and slightly improvement. You would want to go with the one you enjoy more, because that's going to keep you in a better mental headspace, right?
Right.
You know, And, I got to make sure, that's part of, because one thing he did for me was obviously teach me the way, right? And try to keep me on content, right? Now I'm basically doing that for you, you know what I mean? Not necessarily teaching you, but like giving you the grasp, you know what I mean?
Right.
Especially, and like maintaining expectations. And while you say you won't make like simple videos like that, I think that's a good place to start, especially when you're gonna try to get back into vlogging, right? Because if you try to get back into vlogging, your face and stuff, right? Yada yada yada. And I remember a couple years back when you were trying to get back into YouTube for the 50 millionth time, you're like, I don't know if I want to show my face, you know what I mean? And I think simple videos like that, it shows it's not the most complex vlog. It's technically kind of like a vlog, right? It shows your face, and it kind of gives you the feel of making a vlog that's not a massive project. You know what I mean? And even then, you have your simpler vlogs, like you doing a vlog of pushing scrap, right? That's a simple vlog, right? You don't need to put out massive vlogs like, oh, I went to France.
Yeah,
I went to Texas. I went to Canada. You know what I mean? You don't need to do that. You know what I mean? Those can be once in a blue moon thing. You know what I mean? Right? You don't need to necessarily make a vlog like my Puerto Rico vlog is. Is it going to be an amazing video? I hope so. I think it is. Right? But that definitely should be... We got to keep in mind, we're not Mr. Beast. We don't have millions of dollars to put into videos to make these massive videos. Right? You know what I mean? Right? We're smaller YouTubers who barely make any money as is, right?
Yeah.
So we got to still stick with more amateur content, and that's fine. You know what I mean? And me personally, I think that's what YouTube is all about. You know what I mean? Because that's what we grew up with.
For sure. I know for my next steps, I'm really just... One big thing that I think will help me in that content bandwagon is I need to get series that I can start, pushing out relatably. So, between either doing a vlogging series with, flipping stuff. Because not only do I just push the scrap, okay?
Remodel stuff.
For instance, tomorrow I'm selling a lawnmower that I picked up for scrap. I ended up repairing it, and now I'm flipping it for a pretty decent profit. So, and that's what that video can be about, and more videos like it in the future. And the biggest thing for me when I go thinking about my videos is, okay, this has to be watchable for someone else.
Of course.
I can find it interesting. Maybe you could find it interesting, because you're my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But this random person that YouTube's algorithm threw this to, will they find it interesting?
I do understand. So... I think maybe my mind on music probably affected how I look, because I look at video making as an art form as well as music, right?
Right, for sure.
Here's how I always look at it. Always do take in criticism that's fair and constructive, right?
For sure.
If it comes from a place of arrogance or bullshit, obviously you don't need to take it in. But if it's fair and constructive, take it in, right? But at the end of the day, you always make art that you want to make, right? Because... even if you're the only audience for that content, there's still an audience for it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can make... I could make a video that only I like, everyone else can hate, right? That's fine. That's fair. But at the end of the day, I still enjoy making that content. I'm not going to hate the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? I still enjoyed making that content. And, while you can still obviously do your approach, I think what you should also do, especially in your new beginning phase, I should put it, right, is definitely sprinkle in content that mostly you enjoy. You're not sure maybe other people enjoy it, but for sure you enjoy it. You know what I mean? Because that'll still keep that YouTube itch. You know what I mean? Will it be top of the line content? Probably not. You know what I mean? But it'll still give you that scratch, you know what I mean, while you're working on bigger content, right? I put out multiple videos while working on this Puerto Rico vlog, right? It's bigger content. Obviously, I enjoy making that bigger content, but it allows you to push out content that you enjoy, keep your name going, because, you got to keep putting out content to grow, right? It keeps giving you that scratch. You keep putting out content you enjoy. It keeps you growing, right? And also, while you're making this other content, you're thinking about that bigger project and how to actually approach it and take your time with that. You know what I mean? Because if you only focus on big content and want to rush big content out to keep growing, especially at our sizes, nothing's going to come out right.
For sure.
You know what I mean? This Puerto Rico vlog is coming up to a year in work.
Yeah.
Partially because I sat on my ass for months, but
I'm good at that.
but that was also because I needed to figure out how I wanted to approach it. You know what I mean? And when I figured out how I wanted to approach it, and I was also done with school, right? I cracked on it immediately.
And that's one of the bigger things for me too, is like approach, you know. For instance, Midnight's Gone, I had the approach. I knew pretty much how I was going to do that video.
Everything.
I just had to polish it. And I like to have that stuff before I even press record.
Yeah, you like to you are a planner while I'm unscripted.
Lately, I'm a planner. When I first started out, when I was in the golden age of my content,
Unscripted.
man, it was all unscripted.
The Sprite
I pressed
cranberry.
record. Dude, I recorded the dumbest shit all day long. You know how much content I had to filter through to get decent videos back then?
But no, like
That's all I did was record. Hell.
yeah, because it was fun, you know, and that's basically my main point is don't lose sight of that fun. You know what I mean? You want to make a stupid skit? Make a stupid skit. Who
Right.
cares, right? You know, you still got your big projects you're still working on, you still want to work on, right? But give those projects the time and effort they deserve while you still make content that you enjoy that's quicker to make, right? Reactions, right? I stopped doing reactions because I lost a bit of enjoyment out of it, partially because people being asked if I said no to reacting to it, right? But also partially because I didn't want to be that reaction channel, right? You know, because it's simple content, very simple. I enjoy making it. I will bring it back after the Puerto Rico vlog, right? You know, and since it's simple content to make, I can pump it out. You know what I mean? Like, I could do one every single day if I so pleased. You know what I mean? Right? So I would definitely say, you know, you have your bigger, grander projects, right? You know, but basically you got, look at it like this, right? Because I know I've shared a lot of music with you and stuff, right? You know how I'll be working on a project for months, right? My second album, Mythical, that took me 1.5 years to make, right? While at the same time, I'm still making songs that I put out for that month or whatever, right? You know, while I'm sitting on a project that I've been making for 1.5 years, you know, I'm sitting on those songs, and those songs are older than the song that I made just that Monday that releases Friday. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's still me keeping consistency, still me making something I enjoy while I'm still giving the time to those big projects. That way I can thoroughly enjoy it and it comes out how it's supposed to.
So,
does that make sense?
yeah, no,
Okay.
for sure.
And I hope that gives you a little bit better ideas on how to approach content as a whole.
It does.
You know,
Still need to get the idea train rolling, but, you know.
no, of course, but it
as
gives
of
you,
currently, I have 2 big ticket items,
of course.
you know, for
Which-
channel content.
Do you want to announce?
I'm not sure if we should.
Should we?
I don't know.
We have something coming.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. We're not going to tell you what it is. We're not going to say when.
You know what? It'll
We have
just
something
listen.
coming.
Listen. It'll just come out.
Yep.
We won't even put a trailer out. It'll just drop.
And let's just say it's going to be a long-term something too.
Well, yeah,
So-
definitely, 100%. But yeah, no. That I don't really know what else to cover. You know, I gave you obviously just some YouTube advice. You know what I mean?
For sure.
After this, we can come up with more content ideas for you to do to fill in that simple content that you enjoy. Advice, of course.
And hell, I'm not going to lie. Just being here and recording this podcast with you.
It gives you that itch.
I was so nervous. Like, driving over here, man, I was shaking. Like, it's been so long since I've been, you know, at it. Like, Midnight's Gone was scripted, and I didn't talk, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have to talk in that. It was fully, each video clip was scripted, and each video clip was only a minute long.
Exactly.
Every video clip
Here,
in that was a minute
this
long,
podcast
and it was
episode,
edited down.
hour long. hour long.
Sounds
right?
good, right?
You know?
Like
so, and you know, this gives you that itch, gives you that feel, right?
yeah.
You know,
Hell, just us sitting here talking, I've already, like I said, he's got the YouTube bug. I'm already back into it. So,
even if I have my mental problems, I just radiate positivity, I guess.
hey, works for me, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but you have any closing words for the listeners, of course?
I guess if I had to say anything, it would be to, number one, thank you for watching. Or listening, I should say. It's,
Number 2, subscribe to him. He's
please, come subscribe.
Look,
I used to be the kingpin
he used to be the kingpin. He used to be ahead of me. I'm over 100 subscribers ahead. What, 130 something?
Yeah, no.
130 some
So
subscribers?
I have a very ambitious goal.
Your goal is to pass me.
I want to try to get to 1,000 by the end of the year.
The end of 2023?
Yeah.
Oh. Slow it.
We're gonna grow, and we're gonna grow quick.
I mean, hey, I fuck with the goal. Don't get me wrong.
1,000's not that many. Come on.
You're at 200 something. I have a goal for 400.
Hey, that's what? A fifth of the way there.
Alexa, how much is 200 to how much is 200 to? You know what? Shut up, Alexa.
It's close enough. The math's somewhere there.
But,
I failed every math class. It's fine.
But no, I fuck with the goal. But even me with 360 subs, my goal's 400 at the end of the year. I would. So a little bit more advice. Obviously, you have that very ambitious goal. Don't necessarily expect to hit it.
No, I don't at all.
You can listen. Have that goal for it to be driving power.
It's gonna be a joke.
Oh, okay.
It's a joke.
But
if I hit it,
but
it's
if you
not
hit
a joke.
I get it. So you're using it more as driving power.
Yep.
Yeah, and I fuck with that. I would definitely say a goal for you though should be 260 by the end of the year. Something like.
I gotta at least get 3. We
At
gotta get a whole number. Come on.
A whole 300.
5.
500. Bro said, "Fuck you. I'm gonna be kingpin again."
Yeah.
The good old days of Formula Clan.
I'm putting my content out there, man.
Let's go.
Anyway,
we gotta.
sidetracked.
But yeah, no. Subscribe to him. You know, my friend, my partner in crime, I guess.
Sure.
We've been doing YouTube for years. Him longer than me. You know, and he's coming back finally. About damn time. No.
Yeah, no, come subscribe. I need to hit that 1,000 subscribers, guys.
100%. You know, and hey, if you know, go over to him. You know, how about you like share me too and get me to 1,000?
Yeah, okay. Tell you what,
I'm gonna leech off your success.
when our new series comes out, we can.
Especially with the whole shorts idea you came up with.
Oh yeah, 100%. We got to get that promotion.
Exactly. But, anyways, this is the 4th episode of the BeamCast with the homie John Larson, or now known as JonSync.
JonSync.
It's official.
It's
JonSync.
JonSync. Let's go.
And I'm no longer legend. Wow. I just realized that. The last time we collabed, I was still going by Legendary Trainer Angel.
It was John Larson Vlogs and Legendary Trainer Angel.
Now it's Asus, Beam, and JonSync.
Those were so long of like YouTube names to put in videos too, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
think that was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, now it's JonSync and Asus Beam. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this one. This is a historic moment, I guess, of the channel, and you know, me and him, and yeah, and we'll get cracking to other things literally right after recording. So yeah, we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. You'll see you guys in his next video.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, peace.
Peace.